This ain't cheddar, this quiche.
Hello!
Alright, we're back again for a second time. Check out the last video if you haven't seen it. We did Sonya last time. Now we're doing Ibuki Mioda from Danganronpa 2. Let's go.
Whoa, you didn't know I was playing for a crowd.
So I started by taking a cube and merging all the vertices into itself to make one vertice, and then I just extruded it along the silhouette of Ibuki's head, which gave me a pretty good wireframe. Then I did the same for the eyes and the mouth. You see I'm rotating it there. And then honestly, it looks complicated. It looks like you have to know a lot of stuff when you watch someone do it, but over time, once you get like 3 or 4 head models done and you kind of get it down, it just becomes like second nature. Like, you truly aren't thinking while I'm not a conscious human being while I'm making models. Like, if you text me, I'm not answering. It's plain and simple. Honestly, this head stuff, this like the modeling and stuff, it gets boring after a while. Like, you might be snoozing after a minute, but I mean, it's just kind of a process that you gotta do to get the product you want. Once you're into like the flow of things, it all just goes by. Like, I promise. You see, now I'm adding a neck. I just put in a circle. Make sure to set your circles to a low vertex count. You don't want to mix match your vertex counts because you want to match the hole on the head with the amount of vertices on the neck so that they connect perfectly, which will make it look good. Ears, oh my god, I had a horrible time with these ears because I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try doing something new today because I want to try and improve on my side profile. And I spent, I think, 3 hours on the ear alone, and I cut it all out because it was so embarrassing, because I tried doing all different sorts of things and I was just like, I can't do this. UV mapping, very awesome. I'm probably gonna make a video on it later. You gotta put the seams in the right place, but once you know where to put the seams, it's just very uniform. Like, you want to make the face one thing, so you're gonna put a seam around the face so you can have the front face right there. Yep. I'm actually thinking of dropping like videos every now and then. I think like once every 2 weeks is pretty good, of just breaking down the process, like each individual process. I dropped a video last week. It was making just clothing start to finish, but it performed horribly. So I'm thinking of doing UV mapping next week because I've been asked a bit of it. Also, every model I try to improve on something that I failed on last time. This time, this model is side profiles. So on an issue I had with most of my models, it was the ears were always directly behind the eyes, and the hair never really looked good from the side. So I'll put a comparison picture up right now. It looks a lot better right now. So starting on the hair, I put a curve in. Always make sure to lower your resolution because it makes it a lot easier in the future when you do mesh adjustments. The hair, honestly, I dreaded doing this model for a long time, and I think I joked to my friend a few times. I was like, I don't want to do Ibuki. I'm scared to do Ibuki. But then I actually did it and it wasn't that bad. I thought the bangs were pretty easy. And then the rest of the hair was just kind of like, I had a lot of lucidity, liquid, I don't know, freedom with it, because it's a lot of flowy hair, and you get to play around with that a lot. Then I made her little horns. I don't know what they are. There's no way those are real. I think it's just like a headband. These were supposed to be placeholders, and then they just kind of stuck through the entire thing. I was gonna model like the little indents in her head. Not her head, the cones. After having modeled hair for about 2 hours at this point, I just decided to give in and I just duplicated half the hair and adjusted it. Hair and curves is kind of finicky because you can't use the mirror modifier how you would want it to, and you'd want to just kind of adjust it to make it not look symmetrical. Oh shit. And it turned out just fine too. I went ahead and I started UV mapping it, which took forever, by the way. Probably around, like, I don't know, an hour or two of UV mapping. It was pretty rough. But you know, it's simple. All you gotta do is unwrap after you make the seams and then just scale things flat so that it's square. Now we're texture painting. Sick! Honestly, texture painting wasn't even that bad this time. It was just a lot of like minuscule details. And I guess that's kind of the pattern that I'm trying to learn with modeling. Because I do consider that I'm still learning. I think everyone's always still learning. And you would learn better in my Discord server, discord.gg/vsnvrc. Thank you. Just on different levels. And this one, I feel like I was able to actually produce a product I was happy with this time. The only thing I will say is that on the bangs, they go in a way that it doesn't flow with the mesh itself, but I had to texture it in a way so that it could be accurate. So I mean, I don't know. It's about the perspective I force you to look at it. So, I don't know. Not my problem. It's whatever. One thing I learned is there's a lot of ways to hide your mistakes. In this case, I just hide the outlines. Shouldn't do yet. I think it's always the small parts of the model that end up looking at the best. Because I feel like I did a good job on this, because there are no really good side views of the cone in the way that I needed them to look, and I feel like I did a good job on it. And now we're starting the clothes modeling. I don't know what to say about this. I don't have anything written down for it. Honestly, I have 2 videos up on clothing modeling that you can watch if you're more interested on those. I've been modeling clothing for well over a year now at this point, and it was the first thing that I started modeling, and it's what kind of got me interested in modeling in general. And I feel like if you're gonna start modeling, clothing modeling is what I would recommend, because it gives you a pretty good understanding of topology in your workflow that you could then use to transfer onto, like, say, your head modeling or your hair modeling. Not really your hair modeling, because you use curves for hair, but everything else, like, it gives you a very good starting point, for me at least. I don't know, other people start with other things. I've seen people just straight up start with head modeling. My first model was a head. Enjoy my my Breaking Bad gameplay. Waiter, another difficult shoe model. I hate modeling shoes. I might not like it even more than hair modeling, because oh my god, I thought like modeling heads was hard, bro. I cannot model shoes for the life of me. I'm slowly getting better at it. I feel like this is the best shoe model I've had yet, but it's still like, fuck. Like, I need to watch a YouTube video on it or something, bro, because I have no idea what I'm doing. And it just goes to show, like, it's okay to not know how to do something, because everyone doesn't know how to do everything. So, I don't know, you live and learn. The little spiky thing on her wrist, let me show you. Boom. I first watched Breaking Bad a year or 2 ago. I thought it was goated, and now, I don't know, I'm just watching it again in segments. Oh, now I'm UV mapping again. UV mapping is definitely not as bad as people make it out to be. I see people talking about UV mapping, and they're like, and it's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's a little time consuming, but that's it. That's all. Just press the same 4 keys for like 1 hour. It's an hour. You could probably, I don't know. There's add-ons that do most of it for you too. I don't have them, but I think they exist. And now we're texturing the clothes, which honestly I think this was probably the most fun part. I love texturing clothing, because this is where I have the most experience in, because I started modeling clothing. I have the Genshin outfit modeling video up still. As always, I start off the texturing by laying out the best textures. It gives you a good preview as to what the model is going to look like. Usually this is just the last step of UV mapping for me, and it's the first step of texture painting, kind of like the bridge. And then I just kind of color pick all the colors. It's hard to use the side references on this, but you just kind of eyeball it. I used to be really bad at picking folds. I mentioned this in the last video, but I feel like I've been getting a lot better at it recently. And I think for sure my texturing has improved a lot. And I think even if you just look at like the Sonya video and compare it, you can probably tell like it's slightly better. And I feel like that's just, you know, I don't know. Practice makes perfect, apparently. I thought it was kind of corny, but it's actually true. Right here, I didn't feel like texturing that. I really didn't want to draw that. I'm lazy. So I just used a stencil and just printed it on. Same, not same. I just kind of draw the flaps of the shoes. It's good enough. Sometimes that's all you need. I promise you that people aren't just focusing on the shoes 90% of the time. So you don't gotta put as much effort on every single part of the model. Like, nobody's zooming in on the shoes like that. I promise you. I think one of my favorite parts of making models is when you're texturing and eventually at some point the model is just done. Like, at some point the model actually looks like the model than just like kind of a mess. And I don't know, that part of it always keeps me like satisfied and ready. See, now we're posing the model. I'm just trying to kind of match the reference enough. I don't make rigs for these things. I probably could. Shape keys. When Blender was doing its, like, I think it was the 10th anniversary thing, on the last day they gave away this Auto Rig Pro tool, and I have that. I've been meaning to use it. Maybe in the future, but I don't know. Here I'm just making the shape keys, just trying to set up, you know, eyes. The blink animation is always like, you gotta make sure that's like perfect, bro. I remember on some of my old models, like my blink, I would just, it was so bullshitted, bro. It was so bad. But now I just make sure to take my time on it, make sure it looks good. And then time for the shading, which I'm using the same shader I used in the Sonya video. Basically all it is doing is it's taking two textures, a shadow texture and a light texture, and it's checking if part of the texture, if part of the model is in shadow, it's going to overlay the shadow texture onto it. I think I'll make a video on how to do the shading more in depth so that people can understand it more and how it actually works, so that way you can apply that to doing other stuff. The only reason I'm making videos is just so that people can look at it and decide to make their own models and learn. And despite all of that work and hating the shoes and the hair, the model's done. I'm doing the animation, and I had a little bit of help from my guy Josh. He's really good. He's got a YouTube channel, I'll link in the description, Luigi. And he helped me. We had a really good exchange. I give him the models and he popped back with an animation. It was really fast. Probably like one of the best animators I know as of right now. And seeing the final animation, I don't know, it's always nice to see the thing that you've worked for, I don't know, I spent like 19-20 hours on this one, to see that finally be finished and to see it move around and dance around like that, and to see other people see that and view that. I think that's one of the main reasons why I keep pushing forward and why I have been for the last few years. But enough talk. It's time to see this final render. It's a pretty short one. You do a lot of work for that small output, but here we go.
It can't be! Aww.
if you made it this far, thank you for watching. Yeah. These videos, I don't like. I don't know how to feel about making these videos. They take a lot of work, and I'm not too keen on recording. I'm a procrastinator. All right. You're all invited to the doctor party on my yacht on December 24th. You know, it's still crazy that the Sonya video is still massive. We're still getting thousands of views daily. Okay, bye.